So Amy, thanks for taking time out to the Art of Fearlessly Giving Back interview. Tell everybody who you are and what your company is.
Yeah, Amy Armstrong. I am the founder and CEO of Support My Club, a local nonprofit here in Arizona that serves the needs of high school clubs and teams statewide.
And so why did you start this organization?
So I was actually working with Camelback High School with the amazing Dr. Chad Getson, who was the principal at the time, and he came in there and said, we need to change the culture of the school in order to get the academics to follow. So if you get students to want to be on campus and love being on campus and have pride, the academics are naturally going to follow. So one of the main one of the main things to make that happen, it's proven over and over and over again by amazing research, is that if you get a kid involved with a club or a sports team, they have people they're connected with. It doesn't matter if you like athletics or chess or theater, you're with people that relate to you. You also have a club sponsor or a coach that cares about you and sees you every single day, so they can watch out for if there's any issues. It also keeps you busy, so you're not doing the laundry list of things that you could be doing off campus to get you in trouble. So it's proven to increase efficiency, it's increasing graduation rates, grades, decreasing teen crime, decreasing depression. So Chad had everyone getting involved in sports and clubs, but they didn't always have what they needed. So the very first example that I talk about was the first club that we worked with, and it was a fashion club. And these girls had come together, they had a common interest, and they had beautiful drawings. I mean, like professional sketches like you wouldn't believe. But they didn't have a sewing machine, they didn't have scissors and thread and fabric to bring these creations to life. And so I had a friend who had a closet full of fabric, and I went and bought them a sewing machine. We're like, okay, we can do this. And they took these drawings and made them into these handmade gowns. They had a runway show.
Oh.
The next semester there was twice as many students engaged in the club, and they're starting to have conversations like, maybe I could go to FIT, and maybe I could do this. And it plants a seed for these students. And so you see them light up and think about what their future could be if they were given just the simple tools to take their ideas and their passions and talents and put them into use. And so we started helping one club at a time, one team at a time, realizing it wasn't really efficient, but it was still really heartwarming. Well, at the same time, you go those parts of your life where everyone's getting married and everyone's having babies, and so you're on gift registries all the time. And so I kept saying, like, can't we just take the idea of a gift registry and make a wish list for students? Like, the technology's there. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just taking an idea that's already there and giving it new purpose. So we created the first version of Support My Club just for Camelback High School, and it went remarkably well, and people loved the idea of shopping online. I mean, who doesn't? But shopping online for a purpose and being able to allocate your educational dollars to very specific things that align with something that you were in high school, or your giving ability, whether it's $2, $10, $200. And so we launched it in 2012 as a beta test site with Camelback High School, and then moved on to a few more and a few more and a few more. And we just started year 5, and we're serving 115 high schools across the state of Arizona, and about ready to open the floodgates to K through 8. And we get requests almost every week from other states.
I think one of the things that's really cool about your site is, and I love hearing that it comes from this gift registry idea, is that you can buy one table setting as opposed to buying 40 Tiffany plates or something that no one in a bazillion years, well, somebody can afford them, but most people can afford one plate or one fork or the salt and pepper shaker or whatever. So your site makes complete sense to me now that I've taken a look at it with you. And it also, we talked earlier about philanthropy being, hey, you don't have to buy 80 Tiffany plates. You can buy one,
anyone
or
can
you
be
can
a
buy
philanthropist.
you can buy a napkin ring, or so it's really cool. Anybody can be a philanthropist by giving a smaller amount or a bigger amount.
Yep. We have $2 oven mitts for the culinary club. We have $5 PVC corners for the robotics team. I mean, there's items like you wouldn't believe on there that are under $20. And then we ask them to do a variety. Give us the $20, the $2 item, but give us the $20 and the $200 item, because people want to be able to do some of the larger items if they have the giving ability. So at any level, anyone can be a philanthropist. And then we make the students be not make the students, we allow the students to be philanthropists as well. So for every $100 of value that the students receive, they do an hour of community service in gratitude.
Which is awesome, because that's really the whole cycle of giving and teaching people about giving. And and tithing and understanding what the benefits of that.
Yep.
That's very
well,
cool.
the community's supporting them, but they're part of that community, so they need to be engaged with it full circle.
So one hand washes the other. That's really awesome. So tell us a little bit about your core values. I just took a tour of your facility, your new office space here. It's fantastic, and you have a wall of core values, which are very interesting to me. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we came up with those not as what are some best practices, what makes a good team culture. We actually sat down with our entire team and said, what rules do we play by every day, and what rules do we want to continue to play by, or maybe we don't and we want to put it in writing. And it just reminds us every day. So one of the very first ones, and one of the ones that I go back to all the time, is positive storytelling. So instead of saying people think of nonprofits and charities as these solving big world problems, and we are, but it doesn't need to be the violin of, oh, these kids are so poor, they don't have items. Instead, the messaging is, and the way we think about everything we do is, imagine the possibilities if these students had the items they needed. What could they do? What will they do? What amazing new career could it launch? What idea could they turn into a life-saving product down the line? So it's positive storytelling in everything that we do.
The cup is half full as opposed to half empty. Right?
Yes.
Right. Awesome. And then you have WebPT has a value that amuses me. Is called F up or own up.
Yep.
Basically, if something goes wrong, own it. Your core value that's similar to that is
oops, my bad. We deal with students, so we have to watch our language a little bit.
So you don't
more.
use the F word, but it's kind of the same idea that if you make a mistake, just kind of take accountability for it. And how can I fix it?
We're all human, and we're in a young startup. We're gonna try new things, and we're gonna mess it up, and that's okay.
Didn't work.
Oops,
Let's try something different. Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as you're fixing what you did, or not even fixing it, but admitting it and coming with a solution. Not just saying, oh, I messed that up and I didn't do it. Like, bring me a solution when you mess something up.
Well, sometimes you're just trying something, oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's not even like about making a mistake. It's like, hey, let's try this. Oh, that wasn't effective. Let's try something different.
Yep.
It doesn't even, you don't even have to replicate it. You learn something from it not working that it's not even something you want to duplicate. You just pruned it, right?
Yep.
That's not part of your deal.
We have some other cultural items that go along with just being a team and realizing that you're going to wear many hats, and you need to own your position, but you need to be able to cross into other people's lanes sometimes to help. We have a very small team. We're up to 10 people now, which seems like a giant team to me.
Right.
But we're really, everything that one side of the team does affects the other side. So when we're talking about, marketing and fundraising and telling the student stories, that directly impacts the program. So if we have a student that's specifically looking for a need, they need to be relating that information to the partnership side so that we can find a funder for that. And the other way, if we have a funder that's like, oh, I really love Cesar Chavez High, or I really love basketball, we need to go and say, okay, give me some basketball at Cesar Chavez. What do they need? There's a constant communication that needs to happen in order for us to be efficient and effective.
And successful.
Yeah.
So the way this project works is your interview is lining up with the core value of WebPTs, and actually the core value that Heidi chose for you guys is totally perfect. It's do Moss with Manos, do more with less, right? And as I was walking through your space, you have so many examples of just making the most of every dollar and kind of allocating that appropriately. And so tell us a little bit about how this value that WebPT has aligns with how you guys operate.
Yeah. We started with me at my kitchen counter. So for a long time, that was our office until we had donors be like, oh, can we meet at your office? I'm like, I could make you coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me move my kids' school homework. Hold on one second. So for a long time, that was our lean startup. Then we went into a little tiny office and then got a little bigger. And now we're in this, what seems like this amazing, huge space is only, a little over 1,000 square feet, but we make the most of it. I think with the Moss with Manos also applies directly to our quality of service. We have a small team, but we make sure that we are giving every school and every donor a level of service that would be the same as if we had giant marble pillars holding up our building and a staff of 50. That we don't need to be super fancy in order to give the highest quality service. So that's really important to us to maintain no matter how big we get. So we've put that into our core. And then we do a lot of DIY. So you saw our donor wall that we've just now put up. It still has the drawing lines to make sure that We were keeping everything straight. So we didn't hire somebody to come in and create this big wall. We literally borrowed a projector from somebody and hand traced it
awesome.
and then painted it ourselves. And, we've got double-sided tape holding some stuff.
So do
up.
it yourself.
We do a lot of DIY.
Yeah.
So not every picture is straight in the office, but it's close. So a lot of just taking care of ourselves. All of our marketing is done in-house. We do almost all our printing in-house. So we used Amazon points or Amex points on our Amazon account to purchase a really nice printer about a year ago. So we can do almost all of our printing here instead of paying for it to be outside somewhere. So Amex points is a perfect example of do Moss with Manos. If we're going to be using it to charge stuff, we might as well accrue some points, and we go shopping on Amazon for our stuff in our office with points.
See, there you go. I didn't even know that existed. So this is one of those great things with this project. You learn stuff all the time. It's very cool. I'll look that up.
And when we buy a lot of things, well, we source through many different vendors, but Amazon is one of them that we buy some of the items for the students. And so we're using what we're already buying.
The one hand washes the other concept again.
Yep.
That's really very cool.
Yep.
That's very cool.
We have a lot of freebies. This lovely lawyerly table that you see here was from a lawyer's office. We have 8 matching black leather chairs, which is pretty fancy for a small nonprofit. But sometimes people don't know how to help you, and they want to. And the number one reason that people give is because they're asked. So sometimes it's it's just a matter of saying, "Hey, awesome lawyer's office, you guys just went through a remodel. You know that we're looking for a table," and a lot of times they have stuff that they just want to get rid of.
They just want someone to come with the truck.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Take it off our hands.
So we're all fancy with some of our furniture, and it was all hand-me-downs. Going along with WebPT's first initial furniture, everyone has an IKEA desk also. Not only because that's what we can afford, but because we don't need anything better than that. It's efficient.
I have a key in my studio too.
It takes about a finger to lift and move.
Yeah.
So we move the office around a lot. We do a lot of remodels. Every couple months, we totally change the whole office around based on how many new people we have, or I don't know how we're feeling that day.
What's going on?
So having easily movable furniture allows us to kind of go with the flow and change things up. Sometimes we move everything and have a board meeting in that big room. So we'll adapt to our space. So our one space becomes very usable. So Moss with Manos, we have one large space and we use it for many adaptive purposes.
Well, I think even your choice for board members and for advisors is an example of Moss with Manos, because you're a small, mighty team, but yet you've got some pretty heavy hitters on your board and your advisory team, which helps you to spread out the resources by attracting the right people, the right information.
Yep. I always want to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than us and have the skills that we might be missing. That goes the same with our team. Even though I was the founder and I was doing every single job for the first year, like
cleaning the bathroom, doing the books, I got you.
Oh yeah, I was taking out the trash while I'm on the phone with a major donor. Like you have to do a little bit of everything. But yeah, I was the bookkeeper, I was the marketing department, I was every bit of fundraising. So what I did was really pick out what my weaknesses were, where I knew that I was not the most effective for the organization, and plugged in people into the team to fill those gaps. And that's what we've done with the board too. So we've really created a pretty awesome team when you put us all together.
That's really awesome, which is a really good segue into the next question, because Heidi is Jenga, the founder of WebPT, is on your board. What can you tell other small companies like yourself, small organizations, about the benefits of partnering with a socially responsible company like WebPT? You have many socially responsible companies that you partner with, so you have some experience in this area. What can you tell people that are in your boat, that are doing everything and looking for funding, about partnering with?
I think it's absolutely critical, not just for a funding standpoint, but for knowledge. And, we talked about time, talent, and treasure. So it's one of the three, or it could be all three.
Yeah.
But not only has somebody like WebPT, Heidi Janenga being on our board is giving us amazing expertise as we go through this rapid growth period, which she has experience in. She's also a personal donor. WebPT has sponsored things. So financially there's a component. But they've offered up their marketing team to come in and train us on what do we do about SEO? You know, we're like, okay, we got to get higher on that Google Ads, list. And they came in and they said, bring your team, come sit down with our SEO experts. And so it's not a financial part, but they're giving us hours of their time and teaching us things that we would pay a consultant thousands and thousands of dollars to do. So there's multiple ways that you can be involved with a socially conscious company. And they're also become advocates for your organization. And so any small nonprofit or organization or business, I mean, getting the word out there, being that loudspeaker is the most important piece, because people are going to come to your website or come to your organization unless they know about it.
Right.
And so they become your loudspeaker and your advocates and your kind of boots on the ground to spread the word to people that you might not ever know have existed. So I think it's crucial for people to work with the community, and we're all in this together, right? Mm-hmm. So why do we need to silo ourselves? We all need to be collaborative. We work with other nonprofits too. We might be competing for the same funding, but that doesn't matter, because the work that is being done needs to happen as a team, even though we're technically separate organizations. We work together quite often.
Well, I think that sometimes people think you're in competition, but really the more you can cooperate, the more you can get done, which is really for the end user, the kid.
Yep.
Who's trying to move forward in their life and do good things is really the most important piece of this, right?
Absolutely.
Is helping children to get to the next level in a good way.
Yep.
I mean, even your involvement in this project is an example of what PT is bringing to you, is getting you involved in different kinds of things to get the word out about what you do.
Putting that spotlight on our work is really valuable.
Well,
that's and going back to collaboration with other organizations and socially conscious companies, one of our newest core values is spring into action. And underneath it says, always be nimble, always be quick. You never know when a new idea will stick.
I love the rhyming. That's cool.
Yeah. We had to do I need to do a jig with it?
Yeah.
But that's really, when you're working with other organizations, it's talking things through and bringing in other ideas and different opinions. You never know what's going to spark that next big thing. So you need to bring in a wide variety of opinions and voices.
That's what I did a series last year about entrepreneurial traits, and one of them was failing forward. Mm-hmm. And the image that I chose to focus on for that series was the opera series of "It's Not Over Till the Fat Lady Sings," mm-hmm. right? So it really isn't over until it's over, right? You just keep on trying and doing new things, and not to get into that, I haven't figured it out by X date, so there's no other solutions. And then the next day, how many times that happened to you? The next day, some solution just shows up.
Right.
So, God, we haven't got a table. And then you get a call from like a lawyer's office, hey, we got a table, you want it? And you're like, where did that come from? You know, it just, so things can fall into your lap when you leave your mind open for solutions, right?
Yep, and look for the opportunities.
Yeah, don't be like don't be just cutting off opportunities because you don't want to be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised by answers, right?
Yeah, don't close the door.
Yeah. So that leads us to the last question, which is the one I ask everybody that I interview. What can you personally tell us about being fearless? Because we talked before the conversation that we're taping that you don't believe there is such thing as fearlessness, right? It's just kind of like
I'm going to put a comma in it. Fear, comma, less. Maybe not get rid of the word, but there's a comma or a pause in there.
Fear less, fill in the blank, right?
Right. I think that absolutely, if you are totally fearless, you're not going to get ahead, because you need that. We talked about the butterflies in the stomach, and I do a lot of public speaking. And I'm going to be really disappointed if there's ever a day that I get up on stage and I don't feel like I'm going to puke. Because I think that means that, like, it's important to you. And it's so important to you that you don't want to mess up, that you're nervous. Like, I got to do good. Right. I actually had a wonderful teacher, a public speaking teacher, the first class I ever took at Scottsdale Community College. And we were all so terrified. And so the very first day, he takes the trash can out and he puts it right in front of us. And he's like, I know that most of you are more scared of this than you are of dying. So if you're so nervous that you do throw up, I'm going to grade you on texture, distance, and the ability to get it in the trash can. And so it was there, and it was a joke, and it made it funny. But at the same time, I was like, okay, he just validated that what I'm feeling is okay.
Yeah.
And then as the semester went on, he's like, okay, you're getting advanced, so he put the spinny top on, just in case. And so I every time I talk to students, I tell them this story, and I say, and I guarantee you, I know where the closest trash can is right now. And I always make sure that I figured out where it is so I can point to it. Because although I haven't ever puked out of being nervous, I like that initial feeling of like, okay, you can do this.
Right.
Because I feel like once you lose the fear, that means it's boring and it doesn't matter to you as much as it should.
Right.
So I think you need to confront it and own it. And that means you're doing the right thing.
Well, that's super cool. That's a really great answer. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Super appreciate the work that you're doing with this organization, because I am a product of what you're talking about. I was a gymnast, I was a swimmer, I was part of a really great organization called Green Mountain Prevention Projects in Vermont. And we were talking before, those people are still in my life.
Yep.
Literally, I got birthday messages from all of them yesterday. You know, they're still a very integral, very important part of my life. And so there's the piece of being in part of a club that makes you a better student, that makes you a better college student, that makes you a better worker. But there's also the personal piece of the friendships that you have that are deep in those kind of organizations. And I love the fact that you don't focus just on sports. You focus on all of the clubs.
Academics, activities, arts, and athletics.
That's awesome.
The 4 A's.
That's awesome.
And for me, it was personal. I was, we talked about this before, that my father passed away when I was 10 and my mother when I was 15. And the night of her funeral was our spring dance recital. And just to be able to get up on stage and be kind of out of body and lose yourself in the music and the movement and the feelings of each of those pieces, it makes a horrible night not as horrible. And the next 3 years, I just dove into dance, and I met some of my best friends, and I met Mrs. Holly, my dance teacher, was that person that was like, "You good? You good? You need anything?" Just watching out for me. And my husband, well, then boyfriend,
Which is amazing. You guys met when you were 15.
15, yes. He ran the tech and music in the recitals. And so he was following his passions as well. And I became the team captain, and I learned leadership and, collaboration. I learned so many things as a dancer. And actually, I'm doing a speech on Wednesday about my story, about overcoming adversity to get to achievement. And my dance teacher is sitting in the audience.
I love
20
that.
years, 19 years later, she's cheering me on. Cheering me on.
Well,
like she did 19
it's really
years
cool
ago.
for her, because I know how it feels when I watch somebody who I've mentored or at some level take that leap into success the way you have. It just validates an entire career of what you've devoted your life to.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Well, thank you for being that for her and for being that for us and for the work that you're doing. It's really fantastic.
Thank you.
And thanks for your time
Thank
today.
you for your awesome project.
Take care.
Thanks.